Welcome. Karibu sana, karibu sana. This is Politics Today. Hapa Siasa on Science TV. My name is Jonah Simba. And our sign language interpreter today is Anne Wairimo. We have a guest. Yes. Hi, Nicholas.
Yes, Jonah. How are you
Nicholas Oyo.
Yes, Jonah.
Secretary General, Free Kenya Movement. I hope I got it correctly.
Yeah, you got it correct.
Yeah. Yeah, you know it's FK, so I may end up saying the name of a party. Feel free to share with us here on Science TV. Follow this show and give us your comments. So much happening.
Yeah, Jonah, there is a lot going on.
Right.
I think
Sijui hata tuanzie wapi.
yeah, sijui tutaanzia wapi, but the cloud, the lining, the silver lining in the cloud looks like there is a bit of some thawing in the problems that we had on Maandamano and these things.
Yes.
So maybe we are saying that maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
We have not seen it yet, but we hope that it will be clear soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a vigil yesterday. Hey, tell me.
I think vigils, that is important because, and I want to thank Azimio for having taken that step because the people who matter most are Kenyans. And when their lives are lost, it's important somebody to take charge and say that we want to mourn those people and to allow people to at least feel that they are part of this engagement. So I feel that that was a good move. I would have hoped that if I was government, I would have also supported some vigil because those Kenyans are not just Kenyans belonging to Azimio. They are Kenyans in this country.
Yes.
They are Kenyans who pay taxes. They are basically belong to this nation. They have IDs in this country or will get IDs. So really, I think probably government did not understand how to play this game. I hope those were the days when Alfred Mutua used to exist, and maybe he would have participated in saying that even serikali pia inamwona.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I think so.
So Kongole to Azimio for that.
Yeah, that one.
I actually received a phone call this morning of the passing on of one of the boys that was a victim of police brutality in Kisumu. Who, you know, one of my relatives happens to have known the mother directly, and very sad. I didn't realize that it can get that close.
Yeah, Jonah.
And it's a very painful thing.
Jonah, now that
especially when the phone call came very early in the morning and it's like he has gone, it hits you.
Yeah, Jonah, it is that means that it's personal and clear to you, that it's close to you in your circles. It's very unfortunate that you are getting into these kind of scenarios 1 year after we did an election, Jonah. We would have hoped that this is a time that you are saying that you are now moving towards addressing challenges that we have. IBC, Jonah, for instance, stays and should I say commissioners, and that means that any form of elections and by-elections that could happen, now they have to stop until we get commissioners there. So that means that you have a crisis building up there, Jonah.
Yeah.
Issues about the finance bill being suspended, Jonah. These were things that people had spoken about. If government had listened, we would be moving to the next stage. So really we are in a situation where some of these things are just festering and coming up, and it's that you continue adding on salt to the injury, or maybe you kick yourself in the wound again.
Yeah.
It's very unfortunate that this is what you're facing. We are moving towards 1 year of Kenya Kwanza. I don't know what celebrations you are going to have for 1 year Kenya Kwanza.
Now that you've actually highlighted some of the concerns, you are talking about electoral reforms, you've spoken about the finance bill being the issue that really disturbs Kenyans. I would add to it the cost of living.
Yeah, of course, the cost of living is a major issue here.
Definitely, the cost of living, and then you've also mentioned the issue of electoral reforms. You've spoken about the issue of the finance bill. These are some of the major issues that are affecting Kenyans, but it's bringing up another issue of police brutality. Now we have another issue here that we have to confront.
Jonah, I'm really surprised we are in this scenario, but again, not really, because what has happened for the last 1 year tells us that we need to be prepared for anything. This is a government that came with a rhetoric that there was something called state capture, and they said that there is state capture and there is an issue called all these things were the rhetorics that we were hearing in the campaigns, and then now you end up in a situation where it is government that basically looks like the police is serving. It doesn't seem that the police are serving Kenyans, and this is a very unfortunate scenario. I really hope that the IG sits down and takes some moments. He should go to the coast a bit and sit down and ask himself if he wants to be to leave a legacy whereby he looks like he allowed the police to become part of the executive.
Right.
It's very unfortunate what's happening, because it looks like they are working on the behest of government. When government says, and you hear rhetoric coming from the Kenya Kwanza side, which is government, and then things happen. It's really not the best kind of things to face. I hope in these discussions, I think that me, myself, and people who are in the civil society and what have you, Free Kenya and what have you, we are saying these discussions must not be bipartisan. They should be multilateral discussions. We should discussion where involves several people in the, because we are not going to have a discussion between two people. It's not two people. We are not going to have a discussion between two parties or two formations. It's not going to really answer some of the things that we are facing. We need a discussion that involves even the church, probably the civil society. Media should also be involved in some of these things. Media have suffered a lot in this in the last few months. So really, it's something that we really need to broaden this discussion. I hope that is what the discussions are about here.
Yeah, there's another angle of the police. We saw them around Uhuru Kenyatta's home. Another form of brutality here.
Jonah, this is what I want to say very clearly and loudly, Jonah.
Right.
If I was government, the first people that I would avoid getting into a problem with and showing anything against is a former president. You don't want to get into this scenario. And somebody even said in another engagement that if you start that line, what you're creating in this country, you're creating a scenario where people will go into power and refuse to leave, and create a reason for them to refuse to leave power because they think they're going to be targeted when they're out of power. Jonah, former presidents are a no-go zone, in my view. You don't get there. You don't get there. In fact, it is almost a year after this government took office, and we are still hearing the issues about former government, former president, former who. I think really they need to change tact, and somebody needs to advise them that it is time now to remove that from your rhetorics.
That tells me something then, that the media did a good thing to be there on time, or is it Uhuru Kenyatta who called the media to be there on time? It tells me that without the media, then so many things would have gone wrong, because the media arrived there even before the former president arrived there.
Yeah, Jonah, the question that we are getting here is that media is very proactive right now. And of course, you cannot rule out the fact that the president has had a cozy relationship, maybe a bit push and pull here. But even this president has had some good engagement with the media originally, and then some things just started going haywire. So I think the question that the media has helped in this discourse, and even covering all those things that are happening across the country, for us to see and ask ourselves if this is the country that we want, is really good. We hope that we are not going to get scenarios where the media is going to be closed. We faced a situation where somebody had started thinking that they want to maybe create problems for media. But then the question that we are facing is a scenario where that thing must come through the media for it to simmer through. I think the constitution should have been really the leveler of everything. But then you get a situation where somebody wants to do something even extra constitutionally or what have you. You see, this thing went to court, and basically you had the judgment is that you have to follow the law. If you gave me firearms, you have to follow the law to take them. You can't just accost me in some corner, Jonah, and come and say that give me those firearms. That is not going to be pleasable, and especially when you are dealing with the former president of this Republic of Kenya. It's really unfortunate that somebody had thought that they can use those routes. I don't know why people are thinking that this is what they need to do. Let's remember that even the former president has suffered, the mother has suffered severally. First of all, there was a raiding of the Northland, that area, and Kondozi Kaenda, that one we all remember. And then there was a withdrawal of security. As it stands, security was withdrawn for the former first lady, the first lady of this republic.
Right.
And
that
then
was
now,
a bit unfortunate.
And then now again this thing. So really,
Right.
this government should really go and sit down and ask itself if they want to get into this scenario where they are fighting the former president, immediate former president. In fact, it's very unfortunate, I think.
Yeah, it's very interesting that the former president came in person. He did not just send his security. Did you notice that? That he actually came in person. This was a Friday evening. Obviously, he must have been having leisure somewhere. There must be a reason why he came. Does this explain the panic?
Jonah, the question that he has not once, by the way, he has also been involved as a person in other scenarios that have happened with the political party Jubilee. He has come out and himself as a person to engage in the Jubilee issue and also this scenario. Jonah, it is probably a situation where you look at it and say that he has presented himself for them now to deal with him personally, which is something that can cause a problem if the government decides to take that line. I hope that the kind of thawing of discourse is also going to be one of the discussions. Must be, how do you treat the former president of the Republic of Kenya? I think that has to be one thing. Kenya Kwanza, Azimio, and the discussion table is put on the table, so that the question of creating insecurity by targeting former leaders is not something that we want to get into. We hope that our democracy had grown beyond that.
Yeah, that tells me something also. This is his son. Maybe the sensitivity of the issue. This is his son. And knowing the way things can go, you've heard of Ponoko cases where you're framed with Ponoko pistol. What happened to Jimmy Wanjigi? He was also, at some point, he was raided in terms of guns. And you've just mentioned Jubilee. And that reminds me, another leader of Jubilee in Watamu, Pauline Njoroge, also followed by police. That tells you something. Is there a Ponoko situation here?
Jonah, is very possible.
By the way, Ponoko, I hope you know it means what
it means fake things being given planted on
maybe because it was his son.
Jonah, the reality that somebody can consider doing that to a former president, and also somebody like people who are basically from the other party that used to be the ruling party and what have you, tells us that this fight has gone beyond the question of dealing with law and order. It has gone to a level where now it has become personal targeting. And Jonah, those are just the ones you're hearing on news. Even our chairman, Free Kenya, was in because of some issues.
Yeah.
So really, it is unfortunate that this can be the way that the administration feels that it wants to take this fight. Jonah, this is like saying that you become a pig and go into the mud. It's very unfortunate, and I think the government should consider itself government. And its role is to ensure that the constitution is upheld and to ensure that it pursues people's rights as much as it also pursues ensuring that people are part of this country. You don't want a situation where you get into that kind of a mess, John. I really hope this is not going to degenerate even further beyond this.
Yeah. Back to police brutality, the trust of the police amongst the citizens. By the way, Mombasa, while they were holding the vigil, I think there were tear gas or something. Kisii, they had a very good one. one of the shocking places. So many people attended, but Mombasa, things went slightly wrong.
Mombasa, it went wrong. Makadara, they also targeted by the police. But then the question of the areas of Homa Bay, Siaya, Kisii, and other places, Kitengela, yes, they held these vigils, and the reality, Jonah, really surprises me is that government can decide to become, should I call it the headline, as opposed to being allowing some people to just mourn quietly and go home. I mean, really, it's not fair for them to have targeted those vigils, because you see, it's like saying that we are showing you that we are above and we are going to deal with you and you're not going to get this opportunity and what have you. I would have hoped if somebody was describing to me when I was, maybe we were discussing this issue, and somebody was basically saying that if we were the police, I would have gone and participated in the vigil, and I remember I told you even government would have participated in its own vigil. We would have gone as police, participated in the vigil, and if anybody wants to cause a problem, mayhem, or what have you, then you can actually be there and deal with it. And if somebody sees that the police are there, they will not really try to do monkey business. But when you start using tear gas on people who are mourning, John, what are you telling Kenyans? You're telling Kenyans that you don't have even the right to enjoy the feeling of at least I need to mourn somebody who has been targeted. And you see, Jonah, the subtext of this entire issue is that anybody who has been killed in these maandamanos, anybody who has been killed, maybe we want to hear from the police, but anybody who has died from police bullets. That is the subtext of this. We let's not lose the sight of the fact that people are being shot to be killed. So anybody who has died from police bullets, the police must come down and ask themselves if this is a kind of legacy they want to start with in a new administration. They really need to sit down and deal with this question.
But then that brings out the issue again of the media as the protector, the watchman of the people. The media has been right there. In fact, Azimio, during their meeting yesterday, they played a clip to show the people the brutality of the police. That tells us that the media is very key in, bringing out these cases of police brutality. And then Congole to you people in the civil rights movement. I saw KNHCR speaking that they were going to bring up cases. And I know without the civil society, things would even go wrong. So there's the media there's the human rights. Someone has to do something.
And even the church, Jonah, you heard them give a very hard-hitting statement. It's very unfortunate, Jonah, we are just almost a year of this administration and you're facing this kind of scenarios where sections are coming and saying, no, this has gone too far. This is becoming a problem. Jonah, we had hoped that this thing of police brutality is something that we are going to get rid of once and for all and will never ever emerge again. But then there it is. We are facing these scenarios again. I really want to thank the media for having been brave enough to pursue this, even when they've been targeted. You remember a case where they were in court and they were chased out by police in a court of law, and even the CJ had to make a statement. I don't know who is directing these kinds of things in the police. It is very unfortunate what's happening. And again, civil society, thank you for coming in. Church, thank you for coming in. And that's why we are saying that these discussions must be about Kenyans. It cannot be about the formations. It must be about Kenyans.
Okay, right there about Kenyans. The president sent a tweet that reminds us of one president in the world who used to send tweets.
Yeah.
The president sent a tweet.
Yes,
in that tweet, he was ready for a one-on-one with Raila. Question: big mistake if Raila meets Ruto? Do we need a talk between the two of them? What are the aftermath? Of course, from where we've come from, there was a meeting, there was a handshake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jonah, I had jitters coming from the both camps, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza.
Right.
It's already been reported that there is jitters because I think that the president and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga meeting is cutting them off the deal or something. I don't understand that.
Right.
But then the question is that even if they meet Jonah, they cannot seal a deal among themselves first, but they will lay ground for the rest of their team to now follow up and seal the deal. The other issue that must happen is that for them to have agreed to meet, and you talk about the tweet. Yes and no. It's a good thing to come out and do a tweet, because a tweet maybe doesn't even target the former prime minister.
It was actually addressing him directly.
It's addressing him directly. What I'm saying is that the people who are seeing this Twitter before even the president, I mean the former prime minister, sees it, is the Kenyans who are basically followers of the president, and I think that is for him, it's a commitment that he wants to participate in this the way to change this narrative and to engage.
Oh, you think so?
For me, I think that's what it communicates, and I would fault the Azimio side for having taken issue that the medium of address. To say that since that it has been addressed through a Twitter, some of them were saying that it is disrespect. I feel that they should have also taken the same medium to answer and allow Raila Odinga to answer and say, okay, if you want us to meet, I'm ready to meet, or what have you.
But don't you see a danger here from the KK side? You know, propaganda, Raila has been given something for them to talk. The propaganda of bribery, you don't see that coming in. It's always a scheme in politics.
Yeah, it's potentially a scheme.
Yes.
But as I've said, even when they meet, they
certainly the talking is necessary.
Talking is necessary.
Yes.
And I think, Jonah, the two of them meeting and taking a photo together, even sitting and taking tea, they don't have to say much. But the image that these two people met and said that we want to deal with this question is really important for the country at this point in time. So for me, that should have been the outcome of this tweet. And that's what I'm saying. If I was Azimio, we would have responded with a similar tweet and said, let's just go and take some tea in maybe State House or maybe Uhuru Park somewhere open, so that we just take tea, shake each other's hand, and just basically say we are Kenyans and we want this thing to be so.
But then Nicholas, everyone in both camps has been paranoid. There's been some paranoia on the issue handshake. You mention handshake, everybody goes wild. So don't you see
I get your the fears that even viewers can be expressing right now.
Because someone especially
but the issue, Jonah, there is a political handshake. The handshake that Raila Kenyatta participated in is a political handshake, and you saw that it had a lot of text behind it. It had a lot of engagements before that handshake happened. It was like, this is a handshake that basically seals something. But what I'm saying is a handshake of goodwill. This is a handshake of goodwill, what I'm calling for. And a handshake of goodwill is just that you are a Kenyan like me. I appreciate that you are part of this country. Two, I appreciate that we are both in these different thoughts of ideologies and thoughts and what have you. But then again, I appreciate that we want to work together. It doesn't have to be that there is a sealing of anything in that handshake. The shaking of the hand between Raila Odinga and William Ruto would be something that we are saying, that now we are saying that as Kenyans, we are ready to begin the process of healing.
Maybe we need to give this to the viewer to think about it. The possibility of a handshake. you know.
And maybe we need to stop addressing it as a handshake. We need to drop addressing it as a handshake.
You know, the moment the handshake happened in the former government that passed, immediately it's like the side that was not in government, that was Raila Odinga's side, took up the problems
that the government had.
Yes.
So obviously, I get the concerns, Jonah. I get the concerns, and I get the yes. Should I call it the scenario that is developing and yes. what have you. But I've said that this issue, maybe we need to look for another word, or maybe we have politicized the word handshake now, and it has become a problem. John, I can shake your hand doesn't mean that there's anything.
Come on, but you and me, we don't have the baggage.
Exactly, Jonah. And this is what I'm saying. And this is what I'm saying. If I'm President William Ruto and I'm Raila Odinga,
yes.
even if it has to be that you show people that we have left the baggage behind us.
Let's stop it there. Viewers, we are coming after the break. See you.